Last time, we wrapped up the Z portion of the story and went into Super. And it seems like there's still a very important enemy laying dormant. So what's going to happen as we go past Battle of Gods? We'll be seeing all that and more in this part 8 of What If Bulma Was a Z Fighter. We have a brief time skip from the last part. Cooler is getting very impatient. It's kind of a bad situation for him. He still does exist and is conscious on the Big Getty Star's chip. You know, he's kind of reconsidering merging with the Big Getty Star. Like, it's been years that he's been stuck as this. This is getting annoying and he doesn't even know if it'll be worth it. He should have just taken over Bulma's body, or even Goku's when he had the chance. But the Big Getty Star guided him to this. He doesn't even know if it's fair to call it the Big Getty Star anymore because it's just a single CPU. Although both of them are monitoring Cell's growth. Day by day, he's getting more data and getting closer to perfection. Dr. Hedo even helps with the project, but it's mainly Bulma so he doesn't touch it as much, but he definitely does help a little bit. She even got some DNA from Babidi as well because the drones followed Piccolo during the Buu Saga. Although, I guess we can't really call it the Buu Saga because he never came to be, but you know what I'm referring to. And Dr. Hedo does know about that Beerus guy too. Wonder why Bulma didn't get his DNA. Honestly, she was pretty terrified. Not just the fact that he might have seen one of her drones and gotten mad, but also, imagine if the Cell project goes wrong and he has the power of Beerus. That could be really bad. But luckily, it's not going to go wrong. Her and Hedo have checked it daily, and nothing is wrong with his development. They don't notice the stray computer chip hiding underneath his pod. With the Big Getty Star once again grabbing materials from around itself to conceal it. And everything that Cell learns, it learns. It could have just used this data a while ago and made a new body, but instead, this might be a better option. Just taking Cell's body, that's going to give it so much more power. And finally, after all this time, Bulma finally has a breakthrough. Cell is complete, and she's still not too sure if she wants to awaken him. She kinda did this as a side project just to see if she could, and this project would be really helpful for all the other fighters. Imagine, the perfect warrior that they could all spar with, all can learn from. Without an ounce of evil in him too, he's gonna be a purely good being. He basically has the mind of Goku, although a lot smarter than Goku. More like Gohan with Bulma's intelligence if anything. And also with all her great resources, Cell's not gonna be born imperfect. Once he's awoken, he's gonna be perfect from the get-go. And at least looking like what Dr. Gero envisioned a perfect android to look like. She's not creating a weapon like Gero was, just seeing what she's capable of in terms of building artificial humans, and also seeing if she's able to help restore others. There's also the fact that Cell's able to regenerate. The research that went into creating him, it could help heal so many people. Not just her and her friends, but everyone in the world. With Cell, they get to see the properties of Namekian regeneration on someone who isn't Namekian. It's incredible. And this is much better than those Wheelo drones that she built. They are kinda outdated now, especially in comparison to the two Gammas. This is the most advanced thing that she's ever done. And Hedo thinks it's the most advanced thing he's done too, but he doesn't say that in front of the Gammas. Gamma 2 still believes he's the ultimate android after all. And he thinks this could be fun. Imagine having Cell as a hero alongside them. Gamma 1 likes that idea too, but he's a little bit more cautious about it. They have to wait to see how this guy acts. Although 2 tells him to relax. Nothing can really go wrong here. I mean, look who's building him. They know Bulma's good with this, and Dr. Hedo, are they doubting his work? Gamma 1 isn't doubting him, he just doesn't want to be too optimistic without being cautious. Even better, Bulma thinks that studying Cell might help her push the limits of what humans are capable of, at least when it comes to transformations, because Cell is part human too. It's going to be a lot easier for him to transform than a normal human, obviously. But she can study how Cell does this, and see on a biological level how transformations affect him, and try to apply that to herself or Yamcha or any of her friends. She has kept up with her training, and she's tried everything to transform, but doesn't know if it's really possible, besides that buff full power form that Roshi has. And as for Kaioken, there's no potential for her to turn that into a form, and also, she doesn't really like that form that much. She only uses it out of necessity because it does tear her body apart and probably will make her age a little bit more. But thankfully training with Ki has made her more youthful, and Dr. Hedo has helped too. But now, it's finally time to see where all this research led her. A few days later, Cell begins awakening. Yamcha, Hedo, and the Gammas are there to watch too. He steps out of his pod, looking a little bit confused. He was just born after all, but he smiles. Bulma also pulls out her scouter to read his vitals. And that's when she notices something terrifying. Right as Cell steps out of his chamber, a little piece of the machine he's in detaches itself, which wouldn't be too big of a concern, but it's moving on its own. The Big Getty Star noticed that at the time and started making its move. And before they could do anything, a bunch of wires shoot out of that small chip, implanting itself directly into Cell's head, strapping the chip of the Big Getty Star onto him. Before Cell can even say anything, his eyes widen. He lets out a massive amount of ki, and the room explodes. Thankfully, everyone's fine. The two Gammas protect Hedo, and he is bulletproof too. Yamcha asks what's going on, but they don't know. They don't know what that little piece of tech was that attached itself. But Bulma goes pale as she realizes what that could be. Is that? No, it can't be. It can't be the Big Getty Star coming back. They destroyed the metal cooler core and all the Big Getty Star things alongside it. She would have seen this. She made sure to analyze the area and made sure nothing was there. Unless a piece of it broke off and snuck itself into the lab somehow. The easiest way to avoid the scouter was, well, to attach itself to Bulma, or the scouter itself. A silhouette walks out of the debris. It's Cell, but he has a much different expression on his face right now. He rotates his arms and cracks his neck, trying to get used to this new body. Yamcha senses his ki and senses no maliciousness within it, but that's kinda useless because all the maliciousness is within that chip. Cell's mind and body are still Cell, but they're being controlled by something else. Cell begins talking, and they don't know what his voice would have sounded like, but they immediately recognize who the voice sounds like. He has the same exact voice as Cooler. What, are they surprised to see him? They almost did have him defeated all those years ago, but they underestimated the power of the Big Getty Star, as well as Cooler's resilience. He cheated death once, so cheating it again? That's not too big of an issue. And he thanks Bulma for synthesizing this body for him. It's incredible, way greater than he could have ever imagined. He still has all the powers of the Big Getty Star, and so much more beyond that now. Truly, he's glad it went this way instead of him just winning back then. He couldn't have fathomed achieving a power like this. The Gammas tell Dr. Hedo to retreat. Bulma and Yamcha get ready for battle, with the two Gammas standing alongside them. Gamma 2's a bit bummed as well. He was hoping this would work out without any issues. Although, Gamma 1's not happy that he was right about being cautious. And depending on how strong the sky is, they might need another superhero to help them. The 4v1 ensues, with Gamma 1 also contacting one of his friends, then immediately joining in the fight himself. And as they all attack Cell, he just effortlessly dodges all of their attacks. He knows all of their moves after all. He has Bulma and Yamcha's DNA as well. He can use all of their techniques. As for Gamma 1 and 2, of course he doesn't have DNA from them because they're artificial. But he has all of their data. Plus, they are retrofitted with infinite energy. He also has the same thing. And Cooler has access to all of this. He even noticed that this body has data on himself. And he's actually flattered to see that. They thought his DNA was that valuable that they put it in here. Well, they definitely have the right idea. Cell, or rather Cooler, then starts his counterattack. With no effort at all, he fends them all off. But Cooler senses two powers approaching, and based on Cell's own data, he could tell who the two powers are. So, they called for the strongest backup they could think of. Two blasts descend from the sky, spiraling into each other and hitting Cell directly. They do no damage, but as the smoke clears, he sees the two Gammas striking a pose next to the two Saiyamen. Cooler's not sure why Gohan's wearing an outfit, but he's too happy to even question that. Gamma 1 called the Saiyamen over here because he knew they would be able to help, although they didn't expect the threat to be Cell of all people. But once Bulma explains what went wrong, they realize how dire the situation is. Of course, Videl doesn't even really know that much about Cooler. But this worries Gohan too. The power of Cell controlled by Cooler of all people, he doesn't even know if he could fight that. He's kept up with his training, and he knows that he's a lot stronger than before. He powers up into Super Saiyan 2, going to his full strength. But even with all 6 fighters together, he doesn't know if it'll be enough. But he puts on a confident face. Cooler should know that Saiyans are always growing stronger, and he's no exception. With his great potential, he'll find the strength to defeat Cooler. Whether it be through his determination or rage, he's gonna win. It's his duty to protect everyone as the Saiyaman after all. He immediately jumps into the battle, as the main powerhouse here. But the other 5 are all really helpful too. You might even think that Videl might not be that strong here, but no, she is. Gohan's not the only one that's training with the Gammas. And since Bulma already knows a lot about how to have humans grow as fighters, Videl's gotten a bit stronger on her own too. Granted, she's not training constantly like Goku for example, but as superheroes, her and Gohan need to remain strong after all. But unfortunately for them, Cell has so much power in store. This does push him to use a little bit more power, getting a bit more serious. Despite only being in Super Saiyan 2, it's Gohan. With him continuously training, even with just this form he's performing well. And it's just enough to continue to hold off Cell. Mainly because they have one last trump card that Bulma called in. A large pillar of light appears. And Cooler instantly recognizes who it is. That's Saiyan Goku. He's arrived here. With Beerus and Whis next to him, watching not too far away, Bulma contacted them to make sure that Goku could help. And Goku already gets the gist of what's happening. Honestly, he's kind of excited to fight Cell. Even if this is Cooler piloting him at the moment. But just like everyone else was saying, they've defeated Cooler twice before, so they could do it again. Especially because Cell probably doesn't have data on what Goku just got. Actually, something he's had for a few months and is continuously trained with. Goku walks towards Cooler, with a fiery aura flaring up at his feet, creeping up around his body. And with no change in demeanor at all, he calmly transforms. His hair turns red, he looks youthful, and his power can't be sensed by any of the mortals there. He tells Cooler that he can call this the Super Saiyan God. It's gonna make all their previous forms look like nothing in comparison. And Gohan tells Goku about what Bulma noticed. There's apparently a small chip attached to Cell. If they destroy that, they'll destroy Cooler's consciousness, and they don't even need to kill Cell either. Actually, it's not like they need to be worried about that anyways, he can regenerate after all. Plus, Bulma has been using her scouter to monitor him. It seems like something is fighting back against Cooler. Cell is pure good after all, with influence from Gohan and Goku. From what Bulma can tell, it's like a computer's antivirus fighting some sort of attacker. That's exactly what's going on here. But at the same time, they don't need to hold anything back. If they do need to destroy every little bit of Cell, then so be it. The fight restarts, now with Goku at the forefront. Bulma, Yamcha, and Videl are at their limits though. Gamma 1 and 2 aren't able to do too much damage. Thankfully they can continue fighting because of the infinite energy. But they can't regenerate either, so any damage they take, that stays there. Even Gohan's kinda slowing down a bit. And Cooler's glad that Goku's here. He can draw out the full power of this body now. This will be a perfect test run of what he's capable of. Cooler showcases his full strength, as Goku has his first true fight in Super Saiyan God. It seems he's keeping up at first, especially with the help from Gohan alongside him, but slowly, a gap appears in between their power. Not only does Cooler have infinite energy with Cell's body, but the more he fights, the more he learns how to utilize it, the more he grows and gets data from Goku's new form. It is still basically the Big Getty Star after all. Every time Cooler's attacked, every time he uses an attack, that's more data to grow from. He's constantly learning and growing. Before, Goku and Gohan slightly outmatched him, but now, Cooler slightly outmatches them. They're gonna need a whole lot more than just to evenly match him, and Goku can't believe it. This form was so powerful. How is Cooler already on this level with Cell's body? But he remembers, everything that he does, it becomes part of the Big Getty Star. Cooler starts manhandling Goku, but also being sure to keep the others away. They do try to help the best they can, but it doesn't go well. Beerus is also nearby, a little bit disappointed. The Super Saiyan God isn't on his level. But if Goku can't handle this battle, he shouldn't be on his planet. That's not going to be his rival. And Goku knows all of this too. How is this power not enough? He's worked so hard to achieve this. And the form is great, but he's being outclassed by this. He's not going to have it. Cooler's threatened their existence twice already, and now he's back for a third time. It almost angers Goku. He wants Cooler to be gone for good. Thankfully, he can maintain Super Saiyan God pretty well. He already has perfect control over it too. But there was only a small window where that could have been used to defeat Cooler. Now with Cooler growing stronger, that can't happen. Goku and Gohan continue to furiously fight back, with Gohan feeling the same sort of emotions too. He's trained all this time, grown so strong, and he can't even defend everyone here. He can't defeat someone that's already been defeated twice by them. What kind of hero is he? His friends are nearby and in danger, and just as important, or even more important, his family's in danger. The whole Earth is in danger. His father's right there. His wife is nearby. If they lose this fight, they're the first to go. Gohan doesn't even want to imagine that, but he knows it's a possibility. And Goku feels a strange sensation. For the first time in a while, he's feeling true anger. At himself for not being able to defeat this guy, but also the fact that Cooler's here threatening them. And while Gohan can't sense anything that Goku's doing, he notices something strange change with him. The red aura around him flares up once more, gaining a bluish hue too. Cooler's a bit intrigued to notice this, but brushes it off. It's probably nothing. But that blue hue grows fiercer and fiercer. Eventually his aura is entirely blue. Goku's hair then stands up, as if he's transforming into a Super Saiyan, because he is. Instinctively, without even realizing it, while in Super Saiyan God, he begins transforming to a Super Saiyan. As Beerus and Whis watch nearby, they notice something that looks familiar. That blue aura. They've seen it flare up around Goku before during his training, but this is different. Beerus is excited. He could be on the cusp of something brand new, a new level beyond Super Saiyan God. And without even realizing it, Goku continues fighting, having turned into a completely different thing. He has the musculature of a Super Saiyan, and the hair of a Super Saiyan, except it's blue. But he's not the only one who's gained new power. Gohan continuously gets back up, trying to fight Cooler, not even acknowledging the transformation from Goku, because he's being overcome by his own rage. He gets a second wind, a huge burst of power, a rage boost that he hasn't had in a while. The two begin pushing Cooler back, and he can't tell what's happening. He's not going to have it again. He's not going to be defeated a third time. These Saiyans will die here and now. Quickly, he launches up in the air. This body still should be able to survive in space. He cups both of his hands together, taking Goku's own attack, launching a Kamehameha towards the ground. But Goku and Gohan then stand together, with Goku telling Gohan to not hold anything back. But it's not like Gohan needed to be told that anyways. Simultaneously, they launch a Kamehameha. Their beams swirl together, a father-son Kamehameha. Goku's godly blue aura flares up. And as for Gohan, he's still in Super Saiyan 2, but his aura has some slight changes. The sparks of electricity around him, they turn red, and for a second, his eyes even flash a red color. It's almost like he's on the verge of some other transformation, but he's not quite there yet. It's just a second wind of power, a rage boost that fuels him. They put more power into the blast. It makes contact with Cooler's attack and completely overwhelms him. And it's not even a contest. Bulma's watching nearby in her scouter too, zooming into where Cooler is. She watches as he slowly disintegrates from the blast, screaming out, "He could cheat death again! He could do it a third time! That's no issue! After he waited all this time to steal Cell's body, it's not gonna come to this!" But he's just coping with the inevitable. Cell's body is completely destroyed, and she verifies that the Big Getty Star's chip goes along with it too. And judging by his reaction, there's nothing else that they should be concerned about. That was the only remain of him. Although, Bulma's a bit bummed. Cell didn't come back. All that work for nothing. At least they're safe now, but still. She can't help but feel bummed. But then her scouter beeps, and notices something that she didn't even realize was there. Miraculously, there's a single particle left behind from Cell, and it starts vibrating rapidly, generating more particles around it. There's a brilliant glow of light in the sky, and it descends down to the ground, reforming fully into Cell. Everyone's on guard. But he stands there with the same warm smile on his face he had before, but his face turned into an expression of worry and fear. He's glad he's back to normal, but he didn't realize that all happened. He apologizes profusely for it. He bows and introduces himself formally. His name is Cell, and he's glad to finally be here. And with a great display of power like that, of course out in space, the Saiyans note that too. What was that power that they felt? It felt like Kakarot and Gohan. Kakarot's power disappeared briefly. But Gohan's power was incredible, and they were fighting an equally incredible opponent. You know, Raditz thinks it's time to check on his younger brother again. And this is where we'll leave off for now. What'd you think about this part, and what's going to happen next time? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and be sure to check out some of the videos linked on screen now. I'll see you all in my next video.